People of the internet, comedians are calling out Bill Burr and calling him a hypocrite over going to the Riyadh Comedy Festival. And today we're going to learn why they're so mad at Bill Burr and what makes him a hypocrite. Let's go.
Who are the hypocrites?
Bill Burr is a perfect example.
Okay.
Because he on record he talked shit about people who went overseas and did perform for them.
Oh, he's done?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
He's been on podcasts and on radio, so he's adamantly talked shit about it. And then he's doing it.
What did he say about it?
The latest stream of In Godfrey We Trust, hosted by Godfrey with co-host Dante Nero and guest Eva Evans and Akeem Woods, took on one of the most heated controversies currently reverberating through stand-up: the participation of major Western comedians in the Riyadh Comedy Festival in Saudi Arabia. What began as a casual, humorous back and forth unfolded into a pointed analysis of free speech, money, and moral responsibility in the comedy industry. The conversation, while rooted in the podcast signature loose style, echoed debates raging across social media, Reddit, and the comedy world at large. At the core lies the festival itself, billed as an international extravaganza of comedy. Its announced lineup included Kevin Hart, Gabriel Iglesias, Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle, Tom Segura, and, as later reports confirmed, Louis C.K. These names instantly elevated the event's visibility, but also drew scrutiny. As Akeem Woods explained on the show, the problem wasn't the jokes themselves, but the host nation.
This big comedy festival that has...
Here's what I think about this whole thing. I think almost everybody on that list that has gone on this festival is going to be okay. And the reason I say that is because you look at Andrew Schultz, Kevin Hart, Tom Segura, right? And a bunch of other comedians that aren't funny. We've watched them sell themselves and pimp themselves out numerous times over and over. And we honestly expect nothing less than from them. But the two that will undoubtedly come into question as they are now is Dave Chappelle and Bill Burr. Dave Chappelle, I really don't understand. I think there's got to be something more to it, because Dave Chappelle, famously took off to Africa and turned down, what was it? The deal was like 50 million or something like that, or at least millions of dollars. And he turned it down because based on who he is and what he wanted to do, and it didn't line up, right? So I don't understand why he's going to Saudi Arabia and it for like a mil or 2 mil, right? I don't understand. But then you learn that he already has a show next year. So it's a bigger deal. But Dave has enough money. It doesn't even make sense. He made 60 something million that we know of off of those Netflix specials. So I just don't understand it. But with Dave Chappelle, he's going to brush it off, or he's just going to disappear. Like, this is his last little run, rake in a couple more mil and be done, I guess. I mean, he could be done now. So I don't understand it. But for Dave, he's been in enough controversy and enough shit, he'll just brush it off and ride out into the sunset. Regardless, however it goes, love or hate him, he's riding out into the sunset. Bill, not just for the fans, but for Bill himself. And if you listen to his podcast, you see he has anxiety, he overanalyzes things. And he does have compassion, or at least people thought so, right? Now they see this. But I think something like this is not only going to break his fans, but it's going to break him. And I can't think of how Bill Burr is going to come out of this. And I think this will be pretty bad for Bill Burr in the long run. I think he's going to lose a significant amount of his fan base, like how Joe Rogan did when he did his stuff. And he turned and he showed that he isn't who he is. And I think most people won't care. But in the comedy world, I think Bill Burr is going to take a big hit. And as for the rest of the celebrities, I mean, Kevin Hart, right there. I mean, that guy's been sold out since day one.
Kevin Hart, Gabriel Iglesias,
Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle,
Tom Segura. There's a whole bunch of motherfuckers going there.
And what's the issue? Saudis cut up a reporter. Bone
free
sort of
speech.
cut him up.
Cut him up.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah, they.
A couple years ago.
Yeah,
in Turkey.
Khashoggi. They
Khashoggi.
cut him with a bone sword.
I mean, they
cut him
just
up in
allowed
pieces.
women to start driving, but cutting up niggas when y'all draw the line.
But what he
Y'all
say to
do be
them?
driving wild.
What you say? What he say? Yeah, that's
But
true.
also, I think it's just the hypocrisy that a lot of these comics have always been like so outspoken about like free speech.
Yeah.
Until the bag is too big.
And then even in the deal memo, they're like, you can't talk about this, you can't talk about this, you can't
Oh,
talk about
wow.
this. And I mean, I get it, you get the bag, but it's just y'all are hypocrites, and that's all it is.
Well, I want to see this.
That's a good point. The free speech thing, I don't know how it got into comedy. Well, I guess it is. Comedy started, people got in trouble for what they said on stage. But I just don't know. I think if they would have done like a show in Saudi Arabia for like fans, that's okay. The problem is they're taking money from the government. And I would imagine, I don't know what it's like in Saudis, but if it was like, countries we've caused war in, I mean, America is the leader. You have to say something. I know we all defend our countries, but America has been the top of the causing problems and death and war above any other country. In fact, I think in the last century, they accounted for something like 20% of the deaths caused by governments. So I know people said that in the comments, and I totally get it. But we're here in America, and we're doing this from an American point of view. But we totally get it because you people over there probably see us the same way, and vice versa, because a lot of what the government does and the government propaganda. I don't even know how I got into that. I just wanted to make that point because I understand. I hear you guys. I know. I hear you. Governments just cause chaos and death. This is true. But point being, if you're just going to take the bag, just take the bag. If you want to be an entertainer, come out and be an entertainer. Stop making all these claims. Stop fighting for all this political bullshit. Just come out here and entertain. That's my philosophy. I'm here to talk about some shit, make fun of some shit, and have a good time looking into all this stuff. That's it. Entertainers, this is the problem when you try to make yourself some kind of like activist or political figure or some kind of, in the case of Russell Brand, a messiah, right? You try and embrace morality and direct and control it just because became famous for doing something in entertainment. This is what happens. And Bill Burr, you have to admit, this is kind of what he put himself into because he's been shouting on his political soapbox since COVID as well. Bill Burr talked about COVID just as much as Joe Rogan did. And they kind of, even though Bill Burr attached his reality somewhat to the everyman, we find out that Bill Burr wasn't. He was in a world that we weren't in. He was in the world with the rich and the powerful, and he's doing deals with them, just like the rich and the powerful do.
Proof of Bill Burr or whatever. But they're saying that it's like fucked up because it's some blood money shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
It's the extravaganza you was talking about that we wasn't invited to.
Extravaganza.
Yeah.
You
Saudi
don't get invited to the extravaganza. Because these motherfuckers be having. I remember doing somebody's when they had a residency at Radio City Music Hall. They asked me to come through. I came through.
Like, nigga, sit over there.
I was there. Everybody backstage was like, how the fuck ain't you going up? I was like, They didn't let me up. They just like, I just chilling. But everybody was going up but me.
There's a fear.
They were going up.
There's
Everybody was going up
They
but
want
me.
that hot 20.
They don't want that hot 20. They can't deal with that hot 20, man.
Can't follow that.
I
You
don't
really
know.
a hot 10 is what
A hot
that's all
10
you
is
need.
real bad.
10 is dangerous.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They don't want it because
Hit the
you know
gas,
what?
you
They
don't
like
get
that lukewarm shit. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I'm lukewarm.
You
to
find
everybody around
anything?
me.
Saudi
See, that's the thing. We've been saying that. We've been saying that lukewarm, and they don't want any of the good shit.
Arabia has been seeking to rebrand its image through high-profile entertainment projects, part of its Vision 2030 modernization push, but critics argue these events are state-sponsored sports washing or culture washing. Woods brought up the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi in 2018, where Saudi operatives killed and dismembered the reporter inside a consulate. This brutal act, widely attributed to the Saudi regime, remains a defining symbol for those who view the comedy festival as blood money. Even as Saudi Arabia has expanded certain freedoms, such as recently allowing women to drive, the regime remains notorious for human rights abuses and restrictions on expression. The festival's deal memos, which reportedly forbid comics from making certain jokes, struck the podcast panel as a direct contradiction to the free speech ethos that many comics claim to champion. Godfrey himself approached the conversation with curiosity and skepticism, pressing for clarity and even asking for proof of accusations against Bill Burr, who became the focal point of the panel's frustration.
What about Bill?
There was this compilation. I wish I would have saved it, but I saw the video, but I didn't save it.
What?
Man, the bag. Get
It
your
was
bag.
he was on a
Fuck
he was
outta
on a
here.
podcast talking shit about people who perform going over there performing for billionaires and blah blah blah. And then he just did exactly what he said.
But my thing is,
It's just a hypocrite.
They was mad at Beyonce when Beyonce went over there and did something. Not Saudi,
but
but she did. She went
Saudis
somewhere.
have stuff in America that you don't even realize is there.
Nigga, wrestling goes to Saudi.
Yeah.
nigga.
It's like, what are you talking? I've been to Saudi.
Son,
I've done
you
Saudi.
have-
I've done Kuwait. I've done Dubai. I've done Lebanon.
Usually I'm
Burr, Woods argued, had long criticized comics who performed for billionaires or under questionable circumstances, but was now doing exactly what he once mocked by accepting the Saudi paycheck.
All right, so now the next day, okay? So that was the friendly. Now we're going to Saudi Arabia. And Josh is going like, dude, I feel good now. I feel good. And I'm going, I don't know, man. I'm fucking nervous about this one. This is like, we're in the shit here. Like, they have never had a comedy festival. And, I don't know what's going to happen here. And, like, my whole fucking idea of Saudi Arabia is what I've seen, like, on the news. I literally think I'm going to fucking land, and everybody's going to be screaming, death to America. And they're going to have, like, fucking machetes and want to, like, chop my head off, right? Because this is what I've been fed. And
Yeah,
we're
it's
driving
true.
around, and then I'm just, like, going, like, I thought this place was going to be, like, really tense. And I'm thinking, like, is that a Starbucks next to a Pete's Coffee, next to a Burger King, next to a McDonald's, next to a Pizza Hut, next to a Dunkin' Donuts, next to a Krispy Kreme, next to a Cheesecake Factory, next to a KFC, next to a Chili's? They got a fucking Chili's over here? Then we go into the mall because I want to get my kids something. There was a Timberland store. I could have bought Timberlands like I was in Brooklyn, New York. Okay, they want a fucking show. You could feel it. I was talking to the other comics. You could feel it. They wanted you to push, right? It was really fucking exciting. So I go up on stage, and I start doing my shit, and they're fucking into it. Everything's going good. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm checking out the diplomats as I'm doing this stuff, and they're all fucking laughing. All right, so I'm going to push a little farther, and all of a sudden, I start getting in the zone. Oh, Billy's feeling loose up there. And my brain just goes, gay Jim. And then the other part of my brain goes, don't do that. And then I said, fuck it, I'm going to do it. So I started doing the joke, and it fucking murdered. It murdered. They all loved it. And at that point, I was just like, fuck it, I'm just doing my act. So I did my act, did the whole thing. And I had to stop a couple times during the show. I was like going like, I'll be honest with you guys, I cannot fucking believe any of you have any idea who I am. This is really amazing. And it was just this great exchange of energy, right?
The In Godfrey We Trust discussion mirrors wider conversations happening online and within the comedy community. Duncan Trussell, for instance, weighed in with the public statement on social media, sparking debates on Reddit and among fans. His nuanced take, acknowledging the ethical concerns while reflecting on the complexities of engagement versus boycott, was dissected by audiences, some praising his honesty, others accusing him of hedging. David Cross, by contrast, came down.
So, obviously, I'm not keeping up with it too close, but Bill Burr, it says, it looks like he performed there, right? Yeah, so he performed there, and then we heard his experience. I'm just kind of blown away. Oh man, I mean, if you go over there as an entertainer or something, there is actually an initiative by Saudi Arabia to go after sports and entertainment, right? And to buy as much of it as you can. I watched something, I can't remember the gist, but they were kind of like reaching a point where they've got all their hands in, you know, whatever they do over their oil. And they needed a new way to generate more money than they already have. Something like that. And so there is an initiative like that. And so they're going to treat you like kings. And it just sounds like Bill Burr was completely mystified. You know, the wool was pulled over his eyes. And he's just like, this place is awesome. They got a Burger King. That's what makes America great, guys. Burger King. But anyways, I don't know. We're going to have to look more at Bill Burr's response. It just leaves me weird. It just, it's like that Chitty Chitty Bang Bang movie, right? Remember the child catcher? That guy is so creepy. Still this day, one of the creepiest people in movies, that child catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And he's ice cream, and his big nose, right? That is how people are going to view it. As they gave you a beautiful presentation that covered up their corruption. That is how people are going to view it. And now that's how he's basically coming off on his talking about it. And I just don't know if Bill Burr will be able to brush this off. I just don't know. And if he can brush it off, maybe lose some of the fan base, right? It's going to be something he's going to have to live with forever, being brought up. It's going to be one of those things that's going to be brought up forever. And it's going to annoy him. And maybe one day he's going to snap. But I'm still having a hard time seeing how this plays out for Bill Burr. I just don't know, because I know the comedy scene cares, but most people don't care about it. All they care about is themselves, right? And getting through the day and surviving. And a lot of people aren't paying attention to this shit. So it's just a weird position, for him to be in. And I don't know how he's going to come out of this.
Firmly against the festival, publicly criticizing peers he respected for participating. For Cross, the issue was less about individual comics and more about how their presence lends legitimacy to a regime accused of silencing dissent and committing abuses. A particularly pointed subplot involves Louis C.K. and Shane Gillis. Years ago, Louis criticized Gillis for being greedy by placing ads on his podcast.
That's right.
A move Louis suggested betrayed artistic integrity.
So let's do this.
Yeah.
We're going to read some ads.
Okay.
All right. And then we're going to switch over to the Patreon for the last part. So join the Patreon if you want.
Why do you make them go on Patreon?
That way.
That way what?
It's good.
Do you need the money?
Yes.
Really? The
No,
ads
I don't.
and the Patreon? You're going to make them listen to ads
Hold
and
on.
then switch to Patreon?
Hold on. This is
like when I watch a fucking fight on DAZN, which I pay for,
DAZN.
and there's a fucking ad between the rounds.
Hold on.
Is it subscription or is it fucking
Holy
ad?
shit, there's 3 ads. Hold on.
But
Well,
you don't have to put this on Patreon.
We
You don't have to. You don't need the
It's
money,
not for me.
Shane
Matt
Gillis.
and Sean need it.
How
Matt's
much,
got a family.
How much do you get for Patreon? How much really?
A lot.
I'll tell you.
You tell me. How
Right
much
now?
do you think you'll make on this on Patreon?
If 1,000 people join
Yeah.
the Patreon, it's $5 a month.
It's $5,000 a month. And then you
Times
think they
12.
just stay there.
And then they like it.
But
'cause
you
it's
think
good.
1,000 people will join your Patreon? 5,000 new people because of this?
I wish you would stop this. Guys,
I will
support the
pay
greatest
him
history podcast.
$5,000 a month
Guys,
to keep this content free.
Yet, in a twist that fans and critics quickly noted,
I have to say, it's like some people don't grow out of it. But one of the joys of life is not having to harp on somebody or pressure somebody, or at least try to prove yourself right. Like that's what Louis C.K. is saying. He's trying to make Shane Gillis accept his moral values and judgments about ads and all that shit. And it's just crazy to see older people not grow out of it. And I guess we could all do that sometimes, but I've just really lost a desire to do that. And I messed that one up tons of time. Trying to prove people wrong or be in their face or like that, or make those ultimatums like, I'll pay you $5,000 not to do this, blah, blah, blah. Making people feel bad like that. When I see it happen, honestly, it just makes me feel stupid all the times I did it. Oh man, you just think you're so young and you're arrogant and you think you know everything. Oh, sometimes I wish I could have just skipped that phase of my life. That's what being young is. But I just really don't like that, man. You don't know Shane and Matt back then, they had a lot different financial situation than Louis C.K., who's been doing this. And it just sucks when they're doing something. And I think too, like ads, I watch ads on things and I just don't pay attention. I don't complain about them. On YouTube, these guys are making content for free on YouTube and you get to watch it for free. But the stipulation is ads, and if you're watching them, it contributes to the creator you're watching, right? And it makes them money so that they can make more content. The more money content creators make, the more content they can create, because it could free them up from their jobs and stuff like that. That's why even myself, you should support them. Do the like, subscribe, share, watch their video, watch through the ads. And I don't think it's such a big deal, but somehow on the internet, ads became a big deal. And it's probably because they were inserted into the internet when at first we didn't have them, right? But you shouldn't hate on a man's hustle like that. He's just trying to make some money, man. And he ain't you, Louis C.K., that's millionaire at the time. Maybe he was, but Matt wasn't. And it's probably makes them feel proud that companies want to pay them to be on their show, and promote their product. But I think people should be a little more lenient towards that. And I get there are ads that are annoying and stuff, but I mean, for content creators on YouTube, right, is where Matt and Shane post all their stuff. That's how they make money. And you get to watch it for free. So just wanted to say that. I mean, it is what it is. Ads aren't going away. So you could either change your perspective and go, look, the guy, the girl, creators, whatever you're watching, like, I'm supporting them with this ad. And at the very least, you can watch it to skips, right? At least that's my opinion. I'm sure I'm going to hear everybody else's.
Lewis himself signed on for the Riyadh Festival, while Gillis reportedly turned it down. On social platforms, this irony was not lost. The man who once condemned another comedian for monetization is now taking a check from a regime synonymous with blood money. The contrast became a meme of hypocrisy, a reminder that in comedy, as in politics, passwords are often used to measure present choices. The inclusion of figures like Bill Burr and Louis C.K. demonstrates why this controversy resonates so strongly. Burr's brand is built on bluntness and consistency, making his participation feel especially jarring to critics. Louis C.K., meanwhile, has been trying to rehabilitate his reputation after years of scandal, and some see his Saudi appearance as further evidence that principles give way when opportunities are too lucrative. For audiences, the contradiction isn't just disappointing, it's revealing of how much comedy, an art form supposedly anchored in fearless honesty, is bound by the same compromises as every other business. Still, the discussion on In God Free We Trust revealed an important nuance.
I just want to be honest with you. I've never been the biggest Louis C.K. fan. And a lot of it is because when I look at Louis C.K., he looks like a coworker that is a complete dick and the one you hate and makes your employment existence terrible. I was just thinking about it. I was like, why do I never? Because whenever I see a picture of Louis C.K., I'm like, oh, like some intense feelings. But then it finally hit me right there, and I wanted you to be the first to hear it. He just looks like the coworker that you fucking hate, and yeah, that's what it is. It hit me just now. Anyways, Godfrey.
Choices are not made in a vacuum. For working comics, especially those not at the very top, a major festival can represent life-changing money and access to international audiences. Nero highlighted this tension, noting that while hypocrisy should be called out, financial realities can make judgment less clear-cut. In many ways, the debate around the Riyadh Festival isn't only about Saudi Arabia, it's about comedy's self-image. The art form sells itself as brutally honest, defying censorship, and standing for free speech. But as the podcast panel and outside critics both observed, those values can dissolve under the pressure of global money. In the end, the Riyadh Comedy Festival controversy reveals how comedy, for all its claims of authenticity, is caught in the same cycle of compromise as politics, sports, and music. The debate isn't just about who tells jokes on stage, it's about whether those jokes retain their integrity when bought, sold, and censored by the highest bidder. Godfrey, Nero, Woods, and Evans gave voice to the contradictions many fans feel, while voices like Trussell and Cross showed how differently comedians themselves approach the dilemma. The Louis C.K. Shane Gillis twist underscored the deeper theme. Hypocrisy is not an exception in comedy, but an occupational hazard, magnified whenever principle collides with profit.
There you go. And we have to address something, because you have to look at it from all angles, right? Here's the real situation. Everybody is mad at these guys, right? Everybody is mad at these guys because they took the money. But history shows that most, if not all, but a few take the money. And comedy fans, other comedians, they're all sitting there pointing the finger. But let's bring out bags of 1.7 mil and see who goes home empty-handed. Right? We have to remember that. We have to remember that most people would take the bag, including you sitting out there, perhaps even me. You never know, right? It's just funny that the thing is the reason Bill Burr is being called out is because he wanted to portray himself of some beacon of light, some politically correct guy, some guy that stands up, that points the finger at billionaires and the corrupt elite, right? And when you try to present yourself as moral and that, you know, call all these people out and this, that, and the other, when you do something hypocritical, people are going to call you out. You don't see nobody mad about Kevin Hart now, do you? Everybody already knew Kevin. Kevin's going to go do 10 other movies before the end of the year. Nobody mad at Kevin Hart, right? I just think as people, we need to acknowledge that we make mistakes almost every single day. We will make mistakes. And it's tough, but apply a little more compassion when you can, or as you go through life. And just recognize that you're not perfect. You're incredibly flawed. You're gonna fuck up. Everybody could be held accountable for something they did in their past in the court of the internet, right? But it's okay, because that's just life. And we admit we make mistakes and things like that, I think we'll make better decisions and we'll be less hard on ourselves. And perhaps because we're less hard on ourselves, we're more honest with ourselves, we will have less wars. We will have less people going into embassies and coming out of suitcases. And maybe going to another country for a comedy festival will just be another tour date. But I guess it all starts with us and starts with not trying to be morally righteous, because we all make mistakes. We all mess up. And that's just how it goes. Let me know what you think about Bill Burr. Share and like this video. Hit that hype button. And I'll see you all a little bit later. Peace.
Don't stand